corporate.
Look at this.
My first outing.
This is your first outing, but so this isn't going to be you in a couple of days then? Like
No,
cooking
unfortunately,
your produce.
I'd have to go and buy
Some steaks.
some well, steaks are fine, we'll do those, but if it was seafood, I'd have to go to Capital Seafoods in London, and that's where I get my fish from.
You seem to like on Instagram, you like posting pictures of this, don't you?
Well, I think it's nice because people like to see photos of food. I'm a big foodie, and I love outdoor cooking. And if it's not it's a beautiful grill like that, that's a whole sirloin done on there, and then we get whole turbot, and you do a whole turbot on the barbecue, which is unbelievable. You just paste it with a bit of lemon and garlic sauce and white wine sauce, and it's just fantastic.
You're a bit of a cook then, on the quiet.
Yeah, I like cooking. Wine and food. You can't have anything better.
Well named, aren't you? Well named. Well, good surname. I presume you cook lamb then.
Of course, but it's very expensive at the moment. £17.40 a kilo, and that is amazingly expensive because I think all the lambs are going to Europe, so it's quite a costly thing to use lamb. So stick to beef.
Well, and of course, you just tell us quickly. So you had that series with Beefy, didn't you? The Beef and Lamb Show, or Lammy and Beefy, or something. What was that?
Yeah, that was promoting English beef and lamb, and so it's called Beefy and Lammy. And we went around the country, sort of promoting it, and then we had to do these television ads, little clips of them, which was quite fun, and the public loved it because it ran for a couple of years, and it was quite fun.
Hey, Simon, the club already started chirping in the chat.
Have they?
No. Are watching MasterChef, they say.
I better have a look at that.
MasterChef. I think I better enter a barbecue MasterChef.
Yeah. It was called Beef and Lamb in a Stew, says Alex Gaywood.
Correct.
Yeah. Could we have a whip round for Nort's heating? He looks frozen. So Nort's is in tonight for Simon Mann, by the way, because it's a Tuesday night.
Again.
Simon Mann has obviously gone off to his Pilates or his Kung Fu classes or something.
I heard it was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Did you? You sure it's not Brazilian something else, like dancing or something?
You're digging a hole there.
Anyway, welcome to everyone. Anybody who knew who's joined, a good welcome to you. I'm sorry if it's an awkward night for you, but that's Alan Lamb's fault. And actually, talking of grilling and I suppose beefiness and stuff. I mean, you, I suppose, you gave the West Indies and at times Australia a good grilling yourself with the bat.
Well, I wouldn't say a grilling. It was a survival, but we were positive. I thought you had to be positive against them because I think if you didn't, I don't think you would have lost it. So, because the West Indies, as you know, yours, they don't like any runs scored. The bowlers don't. They like to bowl maidens, and they like to bowl at one person. And what you got to do against them, you've got to rotate the strike. So they're not bowling at the same person, because if they get 6 balls at you, they got a 80% chance of getting you out.
So shall we have a look at your one of your finest innings? I know you can't, you haven't, your recall's not that good, but this is a little bit of your innings at Lords against. I've messed up my screen. Hang on. My screen's gone all weird. Right. This is your 99 not out, because the play ends overnight with you on 99. Just have a little look. Watch this. I mean, what I love about this is just the bowling attack that you were facing. Patrick Patterson on the screen there, Marshall, Courtney, and Kirtley. And I mean, has it ever been? I mean, before we watch it, has there ever been a more terrifying attack? Patterson was the least famous, but in a way, almost the most intimidating, perhaps.
Well, he was, because, all you had is that big left foot coming at you. You remember how he used to lift that. And the first time we played against him, it was quite frightening, because I think it was in 86, and Peter Willey and we played on that wicket where the West Indies got 300. And Greg Thomas bowled, I think, that test match. Viv Richards said he was the quickest white man he had ever played. And it was a frightening wicket. And 300, we thought we've got a great chance here. And unfortunately, we didn't get 300 in 2 innings. As the wicket, that was with the wicket, I think. It wasn't televised, but that's when Gower fended one off his nose, and it hit the shoulder of his batter, Patterson, and went for 6 over third man. So you can imagine what we were like, because you had Joel Garner, you had Patterson, you had Holding, and Marshall. So that was quite a frightening attack, let me tell you. And on that wicket, I think it's probably the first time I've ever sort of been a little bit scared, because we'd get the odd ball that shoot and the odd ball that just go off. Then.
Well, I mean, you have to admire the athleticism of these bowlers as well, actually. So let's just watch a little bit of this, and and also Malcolm Marshall's amazing run up as well. But anyway, this is Patterson to start with.
The new batsman, Allan. Good shot. Allan, at least on his 34th birthday, which is today, is off the mark. That's a good shot. There's space out there. Good shot from Allan. 37 for him. And that's Lamb 50. Just beats Curtly Ambrose at the deep square leg boundary. That's a good 50 from Lamb. And there's another great square cut.
That's a fine shot from Allan Lamb. Third man's very square for Lamb. 2 square as it turns out. So he now goes to 97.
You were 99 not out overnight. I mean, that must have been pretty nerve-wracking.
I was just trying to, I can now sort of recall it, yeah. And it wasn't sort of nerve-wracking to sort of 99. I think just probably it was a very flat wicket, if I can remember that. Probably
they weren't very flat bowlers.
No, they weren't very flat bowlers. But the big thing, if you could cut and hook, that was the big thing with them. I think if you could score runs at the West Indies, if you can cut and pull really. Listen, they tended to bowl Marshall tended to bowl a couple of pitched up deliveries, but I think the big thing is as I said earlier, if you can rotate the strike with them, it's a lot easier playing against them, and I think that's what I did, and I think also I think that I got respect from the West Indies, so that was also another thing. They respected me as a player, and I respected them as bowlers. And I think that was it. I didn't come in giving a load of chirp and sort of taking them on. I just
Really?
sort of got on.
You didn't say anything to them. You must have said something.
No, we never really, because they didn't say anything to me. You know,
Right.
I always say that the West Indies never said anything to the batsmen because we weren't at the wicket that long.
I like your off drive, which I mean is really quite unusual. So this is Patterson, obviously. You said with this sort of big left boot just about the bowl, and then when you hit your off drive, and I don't know if I can stop it at the right point here, but you kind of, although that's not, I mean that's a bit blurred, but I always thought you sort of seemed to put kind of top spin on it almost. You know what I mean? Like, with the bottom hand used to go. It wasn't a sort of classic Ian Bell, Michael Vaughan kind of carve. It was more of a sort of whip
top
almost.
end. And the problem there is if you have a look at one of Malcolm Marshall, it looks like I'm sort of hitting it straight back. I had a problem with my grip too, because I had gripped and my hand came too round, and that's why if you have a look here, let's have a look. So in he goes, and now that should have gone straight past the offside there, in between the umpire. That's where I was looking to hit it, but the problem is I had too much bottom hand, and my hand came round. It's a bit like golf, you know, and that's what happened. So when you drove, you flip it, the back to the face turned, and they went through. I did a lot of them like kippers because they were all looking and thought it was going through the offside.
But I remember, I remember you driving me for quite a few times, and you did the same thing through the offside with that sort of whipped hand. I mean, did you get that from back home, playing in South Africa originally?
No, I think it was just a bit of a bad habit, because I think later on I became more. I played. My top hand came, but I worked quite hard. I went through a little bit of a bad spell with that, but you know what? I still scored runs with it, so it wasn't that bad. But I knew I was doing something wrong.
No, so you've got a Lammy story, haven't you?
I've got two Lammy stories, which I won't share them both right now. They might be later. I will say, Simon, we were talking about this before Allan turned up. Of course, you've obviously bowled at Allan many times, but of course, club member who's not here tonight because he coaches, Scott Moody, got in touch with me today, Allan, told me that you faced him. He's an Aussie leg spinner, played against you for the Australian Academy on the England 1991 tour, and he was bowling okay, and then he said that you took him for 34 in 2 overs with some expansive sweeping that's destroyed his confidence, and he said he had a nickname for you, which was Allan fucking Lamb. Oh
God, I do remember that. I think it was in the academy. I think. Listen, was that when Warney was thrown out?
I think it was around that time.
Marshy was looking after them, and he said, "You go and lose some weight and get yourself fit." They booted him out. Yeah, so it gave Scott Moody the opportunity to flip some up against you, but you took him all around the park, apparently. And even look at the think about that. 30 years later, when we come to that, he's still traumatized by those events. I'll tell him not to worry. That's what I say. No, the other one I was going to say, where Simon draws back to, I went to the Saturday, 4 years previous. I went to the Saturday of the Lord's Test in '84 against the West Indies. And I think when we got there, I think both of them took a whole stack of wickets. You took like 8 wickets or something like that. And then you were, I think you may have got in at England the day. And I enjoyed the day so much that we were being dominant against the West Indies that there was I think the Sunday was like a rest day in those days of cricket.
Yeah, would have been.
On the Monday, I was 18 years old. I got on a train from Swindon where I lived, went to Paddington, walked to Lord's to watch mostly you and Ian Botham, smack the West Indies round the park for most of the day. And it was like, this is just unheard of. I can't believe this. I wonder if we're going to declare tonight so we can have a little nibble at them and knock them over and win the Test. Because we didn't. And there was like, and then of course the next day I'm back home in Swindon and I watched Gordon Greenwich flog England round the park. So there's a story to that, because Derek Pringle came into bat that evening. Beefy got 8 wickets and I think he got 60 or 70 in the first leg or something. And then I was batting and Pring came into bat,
and I'd got the 100. That was in, and Bring said, I can't see the ball. And I said, well, I'm seeing it quite well. He said, listen, if we get offered the light, we've got to go. And there was no one on the dressing room, balcony. And I knew what was happening because they were watching Wimbledon. And back hour, if there's anything to say, hey, should we come off? So I just said, well, they offered us the light. We came off. We were booed, and oh God, the people went absolutely. I got slated in the press at overnight. We came off. And then the following day, Peter May came in and said to David Gower, because I remember walking into the dressing room and the guys beat me, said, what are you doing here? I said, listen, we come up for bad light. He said, what? You bad light? Meanwhile, they're all watching the telly, watching tennis. So Peter May then said to David, you must declare. David said, you're mad. It's an absolute flat wicket. He said, we can't declare. So we carried on batting the following day. And I think, I don't know, I've got 112 or whatever. And then we declared, right? And we left them like 300 plus. I don't know what it was.
344 to be precise.
344.
344.
Okay, that was it. Let me tell you, I said we all knew it wasn't enough. With our bowlers, it was flat. And old Gordon Greenwich limped to the wicket. And we thought, oh, here's a problem. When he limps to the wicket, you're in serious trouble. So he limped to the wicket, and I tell you, he wasn't limping by the end of the. We I never forget, because I'd phoned Northampton up and said, listen, is it possible I can get a train up, because we're going to get there so late. This was the day before. And our secretary said, Kent, he said, no. He said, you just drive up, because remember, yours, we had to drive up to games straight away.
Yeah. The next morning you're playing, aren't you?
We were playing up at Newcastle. That small little field against the Durham. There was a mixed Newcastle, whatever the side was, in one of those Gillette. It could have been Gillette or Benz. I can't remember.
Oh, yeah.
And listen, we didn't even get to tea time. It was over before tea.
Yeah.
So
was it?
So there we are. Peter May, thanks for telling us to.
It was over before tea, was it?
I looked at 66 overs. They knocked it off in.
Bloody hell!
It was mostly. Yeah, it was Greenwich had supported Haynes out.
Gomes.
Larry Gomes.
Yeah, he just nerdled. He didn't even know he had got 90. Gordon got 216 or something.
Amazing. Who were your going back a little bit? Who were your idols growing up? You grew up in Cape Town, didn't you? So, or Western Province. Who were the sort of players who influenced you as a kid or as a teenager?
Well, I mean, Proctor and Richards were the guys you sort of watched. As a guy who I played with, Eddie Barlow was a great sort of get it and confidence and winner. So he sort of, mind thinking and that type of thing, really drove us. And then Hilton Ackerman, you remember Hilton? He played. He was a magnificent player, but never quite got to where he should have got. But he was astute, had an astute cricket brain, and could read the game very well. And he, I think, helped me a lot, because I was opening the batting to start with, and then batting 3, and then I went to 5. I went to 6, and he was 5, and I got my first Currie Cup 100 batting with Hilton. So I think he was great. But Yards, we always used to sort of idolize all those guys who used to get on the Union Castle, and then they used to head for England and play, and then they used to come back, and it was always in the papers, and always said, oh, I want to do that, I'd love to do that. But then you had the Lillys and Thompsons, and it was amazing. I ended up sort of playing against all these guys and became great friends with them.
Well, you played with Dennis Lilly, didn't you?
We became great mates, and still, we still keep in contact with all our guys.
So how did you come to go to Northants?
Well, we came over in 77. Eddie Barlow was playing for Derbyshire, and brought Garth LaRue, myself, and Peter Kirsten over. And we played in a couple of county second teams. And then I played in the Home Firth League, and Garth played also in the Home Firth League. And Peter Kirsten played, I think, in the Sheffield League or something. And then what happened at the end of that, after sort of having half a season, trying to make it, we were hoping to get a contract to one of the grounds, because we played at Northampton, Lancashire, seconds, all round. Peter Kirsten got offered the contract at Northampton, and we all went back, and Peter had the contract. And then Tom Reddick, he was an old English former, I think he was Sussex or something, could have been Sussex, but he went out and coached in South Africa, legendary, stayed there, he never came back really. And he did a lot for cricket and writing about the game. He called me and said that Northampton got a hold of him and said they were keen for you to go out. And I said, well, yeah, I'd definitely be interested. And then Peter Kirsten went and joined Derbyshire. And then they had a committee man, Roy Barker, flew out because he was Barker Shoes. They flew out and had a meeting with me in Cape Town. And that's when I said, yes, I'd love to come. So it's always something I wanted to do. So I was lucky I got the offer. Thank God Peter Kirsten went to Derbyshire. Otherwise I would have got a contract. But Ken Turner said, well, we've only said, when I arrived at Northern, we've selected you because, you're going to help us with the one-day cricket, not the 3-day cricket, So I made sure I put him in the right frame of mind and told him I can play, 3-day cricket.
My favourite line that you've sort of said is in this actually. A lot of Hardiaka. It's the last page.
Oh yeah.
Available in all good bookshops.
Available in all good bookshops.
Yeah.
In which I say, that my career was worth it for lots and lots of reasons: the heartache, the enjoyment, the fun, etc. And also it was worth it for Alan Lamb coming up and saying, geez, you were unplayable the first time I met you. All those in-swingers and out-swingers and fucking slower balls, quite a fucking handful. I looked up the game the other day in Wisdom, and you've got 159. So
it was always nice to you. But one thing I loved about you was your break dancing.
Yes, I know you like my break dancing.
That
My
dancing
falls.
when you collapsed on the floor.
Yeah. I now need a new hip, I think, probably.
I tried to do that at a few parties. Everyone thought I was pissed.
Everyone thought I was pissed, but actually I wasn't. So, what a career. And I suppose, obviously you were a tormentor of the West Indies many times, but I guess, in some ways the thing you're sort of most famous for, the innings that you're most famous for, perhaps wrongly, was this run chase in Sydney, which in fact I happened to be there. It was the Ashes of 86-7, and this was a one-day match after you'd won the Ashes. That Ashes... Well, I mean, before we go to that, to this clip, I mean, what about the Ashes of 86-7, where you are a disaster as a team before the start of the series, losing everywhere, up country, down south, etc. Martin Johnson, of course, rest his soul, famously said that line, and yet you won the Ashes. How did that come about?
Well, it was funny, really, because, Martin, he was correct. He said England, we were the worst team to ever leave the British shores. We can't bat, bowl or field. And he was 100% right, because all the warm-up games, we played against the Brisbane cane cutters, in Bundaberg. Well, that wasn't a good start because our guys were very thirsty. And the old Bundaberg cleaned a few of us out, and Gower also. And then, we went down to up country, where's that mining place, and we lost there to Kalgoorlie, or I don't know.
Yeah, Kimberley.
Yeah, Kalgoorlie. We lost
Kalgoorlie,
to the
mine,
the mine, and then came down to Perth. We lost to the Crayfish 11. I mean, it was an absolute disaster. Then we arrived in Brisbane before the Test match. We hadn't sorted out who was going to be opening the batting, and and no one had got runs. It was a disaster. So anyway, I remember we had like a what you couldn't say it was a team meeting. We have a dinner before the start of the test match, playing Australia in the Gabba. And Boss says, "Okay, guys," he said, "now the tour starts." He said, "We're going to give these Aussies a good thrashing of this bloody test match," he said. And everyone looked at Boss and said, "Jesus, good thrashing. Jesus, we haven't even won a game. No one's got runs or wickets or anything like that." He said, "Get some more wine." So we had a couple more glasses of wine. There was no people discussing how bowlers bowled or anything. I never went to one of those meetings on how bowlers bowled. Never, ever. How to get someone out. There was nothing in all my career. It was unbelievable. And Beefy, then that was it. And that bloody fight him on the beaches by Sir Winston Churchill. This was Beefy. Following day, we get put into bat. Broad has that amazing bloody series. And Athy, I think, did he go 3? No, he opened the batting.
No, he opened. Yeah.
And then we had Gower at 3, Gatting at 4, and me at 5. So all of a sudden, everyone got runs. I mean, Beefy came in, got 100, Broad got 100, Gower, I think I got 60, Gatting. I mean, it was unbelievable. So we get 400 and bowl them out. All of a sudden, we won the lap. And, I think what happened on that tour too, because it was Gower should have been captain, and I think what happened was because Peter May selected. Remember, we lost the series in England, and Gower, they all thought would have been captain, and he was dropped. And Gatting, so Gower was really pissed off, and he didn't even want to go on the tour. And that so. I said to Gat and John and Mickey, I said, "Listen, if this is going to work, you're going to have to bring the senior players in, because Knuckle and Gat hadn't toured Australia. We had. And we said, the only way this is going to work is you bring the senior and bring David Gower into the form, the selection, whatever." And they did that. Listen, well done to them, because they could have told us to keep us off. Graham Dilly was another one. Edmonds was in there.
So it's quite an experienced team, really, wasn't it?
Very experienced, but they brought everyone in. And then what they did great, because, Beefy was then driving, got limousine sponsor, and he was the man, everything was around him. So we said, "Listen, Gat, rather, and Mickey, just let them have their practice and then just get them out of the nets, because they'll just mess around." Get Gower, he never liked nets in any case. So Beefy used to have a bowl, have a bat, and then off he went. So Beefy, and then, remember, he wouldn't go out leave his hotel. He had the back cave. So he wouldn't go to any hotel bar or any bar, because there was a bit of a case when we were up in Bundaberg, where there was a bit of a fracas there in one of the pubs. And from then onwards, he never went out. So he stayed, in the hotel, and, everything sort of worked well. So everyone was confident after that win, and worked well. And then, Gladstone Small came in I think Dilly got injured, and Glad took his place and got bowled, won the game. Well, won
MCG,
the game, MCG, yeah.
Amazing. In a way, it sort of proves that two things, really. One is that practice doesn't necessarily make perfect. And secondly, the great thing about Australia is starting well. In a way, it doesn't matter what you do before the game, the first test. But if you start the first test well, especially in Brisbane, then, or win it, ideally, then you kind of, you've got a chance. Whereas if you lose the first test in Brisbane, it's so hard to come back, isn't it?
Yeah. And the big thing also is after that 85, 86 series, Bath had sort of still a hoodoo over them. They were worried about whatever Beefy did. They just sort of, and Beefy still had this thing on them, and he sort of overpowered them. His mind over matter. Sort of the Aussies always sort of worried what was going on. They look, instead of saying Beefy's over there, all his crap, and just climbed into them. They were always sort of frightened of what he was going to do on the field and that. So I think that was it. And
who did you and he wreck the chances of the most? What I mean is, when you were, out on the night or back at Beefies or something, which opposition player did you get in the worst state so that they couldn't play again the next day?
I think majority of those Australians, even when they came to England, we could turn them over so easily because they all wanted to come and have a drink. Even Allan Border we turned over. But I think after that series, you remember in 90 they came. We went to Australia under Gooch. And I knew there was something happening. Bobby Simpson had taken over, and I'd heard that the Aussies were going to just totally blank us out, not speak. And we were great. So Gucci, because Allan Border had played at Essex, you remember, with Gucci. And Gucci said he's going up to Allan Border. I said, listen, I've heard that they're going to blank because Lily and Tomo said the prick old, they banned from having drinks with you and all this type of stuff. And what happened? Gucci went along to because they were having a game, and I think Queensland were playing Perth or whatever, and he went to see Allan Border, and he said, "Sorry, can't see him." And he came back. I said, "I told you, these guys are not even," and they would walk past us. They wouldn't even greet us. There were no drinks after after the games. We always did. It was one of the things that, with Lillian Thompson and Chappell, when I started 82, you had to go into the dressing room after every game, and you went into the fielding side and you had drinks, but that all went. So I think he had a big stranglehold over the Aussies in the 80s, but that all changed when Simpson came in. And that's when the Aussies got stronger.
I've got to say that I think Fracas in Bundaberg is a great name for a band. For a band, I think.
For a band?
Yeah. Fracas in Bundaberg. Now, I'd like to say, Mr. Lamb, because someone's going to show that clip. That famous over that we're going to watch with when Bruce Reid goes to the demolishers, as it were. Again, as a student, I remember they used to show the highlights in the UK, like the half an hour of the shows. And because, we were talking a bit earlier before we came on about the actual events of that over were so, I had never seen anything like that. No one could score 18 off the last over and win. And I think, even to this day, it is the second highest amount of runs scored in ODI to win it, I believe. But we actually had a tape of it, me and my flatmates, and we had a party one night, and all we played the entire evening was that over on repeat, probably about 200 times, purely to hear Bill Lawry lose it at the end.
Okay, well, you can hear it again.
Well, there were a few things there which I'll speak to you afterwards, but there was a vital time there when I hit the ball out to extra cover, and I don't know if it was Dirk Whelan or Dean Jones. I pretended to run for the second, and they sort of ran in, and I pretended to run, and they fired it back at the non-strikers end, back to where I was, and I rushed back, but I just went in front of the ball as it was coming towards me. I just got out the way, and it hit Bruce Reid on the chest, and we got the extra run, but I blocked him out. He couldn't see. He said, "What do you do?" I said, "It wasn't my fault. I was trying to get out the way of the ball." But I blocked the vision for the ball coming in. So
let's have a look. Let's have a look at it.
They need 18 runs off 6 balls to be bowled. So the odds favour Australia. Allan Lamb on strike to Bruce Reid. Smash that. Coming back for the second. The throw's wide. Bruce Reid. 2 runs. That's 4. That makes it interesting. And first boundary of 99 deliveries faced, and what a time to hit a 4. Bruce Reid. Swung that. That's 6. Isn't that a big hit? It's somewhere over there. I can't see it. It's gone. It's gone for 6. A magnificent hit. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What a hit of Bruce Reid over Rohan. Lamb gave himself some room. He smashed it. The ball went high into the sky, and away it went. 2 boundaries for Lamb, a 4 and 6 just at the right time.
6 of 3 balls.
Australia need a wicket. Smash. Warren Fields, just the single. There's Australia, they're going through. There's another Australia. What a time for another Australia. There's another one. Oh, oh dear, just at the wrong time, the wheels falling off, a little bit of panic. Big dangerous down fine leg. There's nobody down fine leg, and again at the top of the keeper, in comes Bruce Reid. There it goes, it's in the gap, but go everyone's about that's 4 runs, and Allan pulls up a miraculous victory. What a performance by Allan.
Well, so was it this ball that went to Wellham?
Was it Willem? Yeah, right. So yeah, this was the ball. I went straight to him there, right?
Smash.
And if you have a look,
Yeah.
he now throws it in. I stand in the way. Look there,
Oh yes, at the non-striker's end. Yeah.
non-striker. So as the ball's coming in,
You sneaky man.
I jump out there. That's exactly. You got it. You got it. And that's why old Bruce Reid was.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
What a crafty piece of work. So it was just
Well,
about
that was
there.
the only way, because otherwise Daffy was going to, Daffy may have.
So you actually can't just about there.
That's
You're
it.
kind of obscuring his view, weren't you?
Yeah, and then I'm holding, and then I come forward. I come forward a bit, and then block him off totally. So
That's the single.
There.
There's the strike.
Yeah.
What a time for Anderson. There's an
What I thought was quite interesting about that as well was, I mean, we talk about the modern one-day game and the kind of ingenuity of the players. But I mean, here you are, for instance, was it the 4? Was it this one? One of these shots, you're moving all over the place. Actually, it wasn't that one. Actually, it was maybe it was
6.
the ball after that. Was it the 6? Yeah.
throws wide of Bruce Reid. 2 runs.
So it wasn't that one. It wasn't. That's the 4, and then it's this one here, where this one here, you moved all over the place. You sort of did a Josh Butler almost.
Swung that. That's 6. Isn't that the big
What I was trying to do is not him, didn't want him to bowl. I thought he'd follow me, and so I was trying to do. So when I went, walked inside, and then I thought he'd come, and then I went back. So it was just to try to put his length off, and then he bowled it straight. As you can see, he bowled it straight at me in the end.
And
But
actually, this last shot as well. I mean, when he needed 4 off 2 or something, it was a very very calm, just finish of the game coming up here. This last 4 to win.
The wheels falling off, a little bit of panic. Big dangerous down fine leg. There's nobody down fine leg, and he gave the top.
Yeah, but this he bowled right on my legs. It was easy.
Actually, it was a straightish ball though. I mean, it was just rather than feeling the need to try and slog it.
Left arm as straight normally goes through with wicket.
That's true,
Yeah. So no, I mean, listen, I that was my sort of thing.
What a knock!
Is if you moved around, you try to get the bowler not to bowl directly at you, and it was just something I tried to do to.
Well, you were years ahead of your time. Right. Well, shall we go to some questions?
Shall I? I'll bring
Noughts?
some people in. I'm going to bring in Mr. Ian Wixton first. I got the opportunity.
So we've got Lammy. We've got a few of our members.
Right. No problem.
Going to fire away a few questions at you. They're always very very sound, these people. So this is Ian.
Good evening, Simon.
Ian.
Good evening, Lammy. Great to have you with us. This week is Mental Health Awareness Week, just to be serious for a moment. By comparison with when you were playing, there's much more psychological support available to players these days. Were there occasions when you would have wished there'd been more support for you and others?
Unfortunately, we didn't know what that was when we played. We just thought that guy didn't have enough balls, or he wasn't good enough, or he didn't have the confidence, or whatever. We never thought of that. And now, if I look back and I think, gee, yeah, some of those players could have been helped because, you were under the pressure. I mean, everyone used to chirp in the dressing room with, if you didn't get any runs in a test match and you came to the second, because when we played, if you didn't get runs in 2 games, you were out. You were definitely gone. And we used to have this saying, we had the rope hanging up in the dressing room to say, this is your last chance if you don't get any runs. So, I mean, in a way, we took no prisoners. But thinking back now, yeah, there must have been people that were affected, and you know, but we didn't at the time. And now I look back at it and I see, I can see, you know, if we take with Robin Smith, you know, Robin, to me, I always knew, right, he was good, but he needed the backing from us. We always backed him and took the piss out of him, but you know, he loved the encouragement. He loved us behind him. And I think when we left, you know, after Beefy packing in, Gower packing in, and then myself packing in, he was a little bit lost. He was on his own. He didn't really have us around him, you know, to guide him. And I think that, you know, I was shocked to hear, because he was quite a tough guy. I was very shocked with the illness he had.
Yeah, on the face of it. We had a guy at school who was, you know, apparently a really sort of strong character, and he committed suicide sort of a couple of years after I left the school. You know, but the last guy that you'd have predicted that would happen to. Yeah,
I mean, Bluey Besto, same thing. I mean, you know, they were tough players, and Yoz can remember he probably played against Bluey. He was chirping and giving you, and you would never think, I would have never thought that would have happened. But as you say, how many cricketers have committed suicide? It's terrible.
Yeah, over 100. Ian, can you, I mean, actually, I've just commissioned, while you were here, I just commissioned Mike Brearley to write a piece for the Cricketer, actually, about mental health of cricketers and why cricket seems to attract more depression and sort of issues with that than other sports. You got a theory on that?
Part of it will be the nature of cricket and the fact that it is an isolated game, especially when you're batting and not succeeding. So part of it is the nature of the sport. I've never looked at baseball, because baseball has got some similar characteristics, but not such a high rate. But
you can sort of bat again in baseball, can't you? You
Yeah.
can get down to the ninth inning and all that. Whereas in cricket, you might have to wait 2-3 days to bat again.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it, there's a bit of cause and effect. So sometimes it'll be about, okay, cricket attracts a certain type of individual, therefore it's a bit self-selecting, rather than cricket making somebody like that. I think it's important to distinguish, but I'd be interested to see what Mike has to say.
Yeah, it's a good piece, actually. I just read it today, and you know, he's got some good arguments. So yeah, fascinating. Yeah, is that a satisfactory answer, Ian? Hopefully. I'll just tell you, by the way, Bluey. You asked, did I play against him? I played against him once at Headingley. I've played against him loads, and we always used to piss on Yorkshire, Middlesex every time. They weren't very good in the 80s. And I remember one time Bluey came into bat, and it was a bit of a sort of lively pitch, and they were trying to take it on when it was short. So I said to Gat, Gat, can I have square leg a bit deeper for Bluey, right? And Bluey was stood there. He heard it, he overheard, and he just said, at the top of his voice, he said, well, if I get hold of it, you'll need him a lot fucking deeper. Like, right at the top of his voice. So I think that was indicative of the sort of character he was. He was very kind of full on, wasn't he? And sort of ebullient sort of character. And so, yeah, the last person you would expect to suddenly do what he did.
Hey, now, Simon, I can tell you, we're straddling the club tonight. We're straddling 3 continents.
Are we?
Because, yeah, we are, because we've got Pushkar, I'm going to bring on a second, all the way from Bangalore in India. But also, I notice who's back is Keith from the United States.
Where's the hell's he been?
Where's he been?
I think he's been under a COVID cloud in the US for about.
He's back. He's back. I can see him. He's got a nice picture.
I thought he's been in. I think he's been in COVID.
I'll just bring him up. I'll just bring him up very quick. I won't put the sound. I'm just going to very quick flash. There is. Look, there's with Allan with trophy on the balcony.
Oh,
but we'll come back to that. I'm gonna.
That's obviously that was what the NatWest Trophy of what year?
1992.
Right, we'll come to him in a minute then.
Anyway,
it's all the way from the US of A.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Keith's here, so I'm glad he's back. But anyway, here's Pushkar with a question.
Right. Hi, Pushkar. Now, where are
hi.
you? You're obviously not in San Francisco, are you?
Hi. Good afternoon.
Where are you?
I'm in Bangalore.
You're in Bangalore. Right. It must be a bit late there, isn't it? Like after midnight.
Yeah.
Good effort.
Good effort.
So
nice to see you.
Yes, thanks. So hi Allan. So my question is basically in context with the Indian cricket. So it's about the Sachin Tendulkar. So in the 1990 Manchester set, when Tendulkar scored his maiden international hit, so what was the first impression about Tendulkar at that time, and particularly about the English camp after that knock by a teenager? And also in that test, Anil Kumble also made his debut. So what was the prospect about Kumble and the Tendulkar?
Well, Pushka, Sachin knows that I made him, because if it wasn't me dropping him at first slip off Devon Malcolm when he had 2 or 3, I parried one over the slips and went for 4, and he went on and got 100. Well, listen, you could see you could play straight from there, but I always remind him, just remember, all those rupees you make sure some come my way. But he's I mean, you could see he was going to be a great player then, and well, there it was. He's one of the world's best, was the one of the world's best. So fantastic player. Now, Anil Kumble, yes, he got me out in the first innings, and for naught. I wasn't very happy because Anil doesn't turn the ball, and stupidly, I went and bloody played for the turn, and I was in the back of my mind. But anyway, he got me out. But I got 100 in the next inning, the second innings, because Ray Illingworth said he's got to be dropped after. They wrote in the paper, Lamb should be dropped after that game. After that day, when I got naught. So anyway, what had happened then is Curtly Ambrose had to go and play for the West Indies, and we needed to replace Curtly Ambrose. And I wanted Anil Kumble because we didn't really have a good leg spinner. And I persuaded my chairman at Northampton that I'd spoken to Sunil Gavaskar, and Sunny said to me, listen, if you've got a good short leg and a good silly point, he'll get you plenty wickets. So I went to my chairman, I said, we're going to sign, Kumble. And they weren't happy. The committee said, and the first game we played was one of these Sunday League games, and I think he went for 40. And I could imagine the chairman came up, he said, gee, have you made the right decision? And then we went down to play Kent in a game. And I went to British Home Stores, and I bought him one of those underwool, those full
body
warmers, a full body warmer. And I threw the ball to him, and I said, I'll see you in September. And he was the last one who got 100 wickets, for the championship. So that's Anil. What a lovely man. They're both lovely people and fantastic cricketers. I think Anil he didn't get on with Kohli, it looked like, I think, because he's an astute cricketer and astute brain, and he's a loss a little bit to Indian cricket, I think.
So is Kumble, Pushka, is Kumble a hero of yours? Comes from Bangalore?
Yeah, Rahul Dravid, more of a Rahul
Yeah,
Dravid.
Dravid's well, you got some fantastic players.
And who have you got now that's from that KL Rahul? Is he from Bangalore?
Yes, he's from basically Mysore, yes, but he plays for Karnataka, same team.
Right. And anyone else? Who should we look out for as a brilliant player from Karnataka or Bangalore then?
Mayank Agarwal is there.
Agarwal, yeah. Okay. Cool.
And Mayank Agarwal, then there is also if you actually Devdutt Padikkal, the RCB opener.
Padikkal, yeah. And just quickly, how is India? How's Bangalore at the moment? Are you managing kind of thing?
Yeah, there's around, you can say, 3.1 lakh cases active in Bangalore right now. So it's a lot of there in Bangalore, Mumbai, particularly the metro cities.
I mean, are you allowed out or anything, or
no?
You're just stuck at home. That's probably why you're on this show then. Well, great. I'm glad we can give you some entertainment. There's no IPL to watch, of course, so we can give you a bit of entertainment anyway.
Right, I shall bring in.
I'm
going to bring in. Yes, thank you, Richard. I'm bringing in Rob now.
Okay. What about Keith? Oh, Rob. Hi, Rob.
Evening, gents. How you doing?
Spurs fan.
Yes.
Good.
For my sins,
Spurs fan, but I'm a bit pissed off with the way they play.
Absolute shambles. But there you go.
So you're a Spurs fan, Lammy, are you?
Yeah. Are you? Jimmy Greaves. I
Jimmy Greaves, Hoddle,
I used to support Spurs because we used to get the Beano magazine in Cape Town. And Jimmy Greaves used to write a piece in the Beano magazine.
Did he?
Yes. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
And that's why I supported Tottenham Hotspurs. I've supported them
choice.
all along. And
Well,
then,
that makes three of us then. I'm a Spurs fan, but
and
very
then
badly
you won't
lapsed.
believe it, I got to do a dinner with Jimmy. We spoke at the same dinner.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Blimey.
Did he die recently, I think?
No, he's still alive.
He's still all right, is he? Yeah.
Not very well.
Not very well.
Not
Yeah.
very well, but still here.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway. Okay.
Simon took him out a bit early there, didn't he? Took him out, Jimmy. The great Jimmy.
Yeah.
A bit early.
Yeah. Oh, he was a genius. He was a genius, wasn't he? Goal hanger. Rob, you're not going to talk about Spurs, are you?
No. That's far too depressing topic. Was there any, when you were playing, obviously, was there anybody who you really fancied taking runs off, no matter what the pitch? You sort of eyes lit up and you thought, I'm in for some runs today, apart from obviously apart from Si. And then was there anybody who you thought, I'd rather be at the other end rather than facing, no matter what the pitch was?
Listen, I loved the battle. So, when I played against Malcolm Marshall, he got me out a lot of times, but I loved to win a battle against him. So, but it wasn't all the time. He'd win plenty too. So, but I mean, of course, listen, county cricket, I mean, there was some bowlers that,
There's some pie throwers.
Yeah, you knew that wouldn't be able to get it right. So that wasn't really, I think if I would say Essex were a side that I always scored runs against, because Gucci was on the other end, and I just wanted to, and they used to try to get me fairly pissed before the game. They used to send me up, put me up in this hotel. What's it called?
Not the South Lodge in Chelmsford, was it?
No. It was outside Chelmsford. It was only the Molsons owned it, and we always used to go there. And then they'd say, "Oh, well, they've written Lamb and Proctor and Lily off, no problem." And we used to come back the following. Even Molson used to pay for everything because he was a big Essex supporter, and we always used to get 100, no matter what we were doing the night before. So if you have a look at my record against Essex, I think I've got quite a good record against Essex.
So that was like the bowling attack. You were like,
no, but they had a nice bowling attack, but it was just something you get pumped up for games,
Yeah.
Middlesex too. You wanted to, you want to score runs off knuckle or toughers. I always loved taking toughers on, because you could always blow toughers out your back in. I mean, listen. I can't think of any. I just like the challenge, put it that way.
I will say, another club member who's not here tonight, Will, he actually asked about your appetite for pace bowlers. Was there a particular spinner you didn't enjoy facing?
Abdul Akbadia. He, to me, was the best leg spinner. And and let me tell you, he should have. We never saw much of him. But this guy, he was quick in the air, turned the ball, googly. I still couldn't pick his googly. I still can't today. But I think he was probably, Warney, as I said, we never played against Warney because I would have played in that academy side if he had played. So I never got to go. But Warney, unbelievable, world class. But that Abdul put as a leg spinner, the best leg spinner I played against was him.
He always looked quite intimidating as well, didn't he? Because he had that look.
Yeah, and he was. He came in with that run, and he was quick through there.
Now, Simon, shall I bring Keith on?
In a minute. I'm just looking up Lammy's record here against different counties, actually. So live stats show this, and you averaged 57 against Essex, 2,000 runs, 800s. 800s against Essex.
I don't know, because they always were very sociable and took me out, so I had to repay them.
You averaged 75 against Warwickshire, interestingly. I don't know if you knew that. You probably didn't.
Don't ask me about stats.
No, 75. Well, you averaged 75 against Warwickshire anyway. But I have to tell you, this is a bad one. You averaged 143 against Oxford University. You
And
sadist. You know,
I had
one, those poor students.
No, I had one game against them. That was it. I retired after that.
Oh,
how many games did I play against Oxford? Probably
I
one
don't know.
or
I
two
didn't
games.
look. I didn't look. I was just looking at or average. Sorry.
I've got to say, Andy in the chat says about your eyes must have lit up, Alan, when you were facing Derek Pringle. I think all our eyes would have lit up.
I reckon Don Topley was I bet you enjoyed facing toppers.
Oh, toppers. Yeah, but I got to tell you a story. We played against Worcester, right? And you remember Inchmore?
John Inchmore, yeah.
Yeah, I asked them to move the side screen. They moved the side screen, hadn't been moved, and I came into bat. And the side screen, I didn't even know they had moved it. And he came into bat, and all of a sudden I lost the ball because they had moved the side screen. And I got out bowled, right? And I looked up, I said, I didn't even see that. And they started pissing themselves, right? Because they had moved the side screen before I came into bat, and I hadn't really picked it up. But where the inches was up, I don't know if you remember, with the hospital, the sort of stand at the back there, yours. You could lose the ball quite easily.
Yeah.
The side screen didn't block it out, and the curtains were left open. So it was a very good play on them. But I got, I think, nearly 200 in the next innings. I said, "You bastards, don't ever do that again."
And that's why you averaged 75 against Worcester. But you lied about Oxford University, or your memory's shit, because you had 3 games against them and you scored 200s. So
okay, well, that's it. I mean,
anyway, it's pretty good.
But that was probably when Mallet played and Simon Halliday.
Oh yeah.
There you are.
Well, you're trying to say they were good then, are you?
Well, at least they could perform, not like probably win. Where were you, Yoz? Which one did you
Durham.
go to? Durham. Oh, well, they were crap.
Now I've put
right
on
Keith.
the screen.
Keith, where have you been?
So our team meeting got moved to Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern time.
I see.
Here, so I've had a schedule conflict, unfortunately, and I can't quite convince them to swap it out. So fingers crossed that I'll be able to do so. But thank you for the very warm welcome back from everyone. It's very much appreciated. Lammy, how you doing then? Just curious.
Very good, Keith.
How do you think that you may have played differently at all if DRS had been around at your time? And then a follow-up question would be, are there any spinners that stick out from that same time who you think would have benefited greatly at the international level with DRS intact?
Well, I think on the spinners, it's a hard one to say, also, listen, the umpires that were around, I mean, Dickie Bird never gave you out on the front foot if you were way forward. And some of the umpires never gave you out for it, like a ball that turned a little bit, hit you on the pad. So, but, I mean, there were some filthy decisions around too. So you could say yes, DRS, but I think it probably, it works out, listen, 50-50, to be honest. I'm not too sure if DRS, I think it would have helped the spinners a lot more.
Yeah. So, are there any spinners at the county game that you recall who might have benefited greatly at the international level, who maybe only got a taste of international play with the help of DRS?
Eric Underwood,
Nick Cook, surely.
Nick Cook, the beast. He never spun it.
That's you don't need to turn it now, do you?
Yeah, you don't. So he may have
fire
done
it in at the
right.
pads.
He may have done okay. I listen, Deadly. I mean, listen, he was class bowler on those uncovered wickets. I mean, I played against him. You had no chance of scoring a run. So DRS wouldn't even matter then.
He only got 8% of his wickets LBW in Test cricket. Now Swan got nearly 30%.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I can't really pick out a spinner.
I'm just trying to think if you could,
Someone
like John Childs bowled quite straight. I tell you who would have got wickets with DRS. Bloody Stainless. He bowled those underground non-turning deliveries.
Oh God, yeah, John Steele
or David.
Yeah, well, he could have been one. But
imagine how that would have ruined the game. Load of LBWs.
The spinners, we played was Emery, Edmonds, Cook,
Embers would have got.
Styles,
Embers would have got.
Eddie
Embers would have got a
Hemming,
lot of
Eddie
wickets.
Hemmings.
Eddie Hemmings, yeah. Some good
So-
spinners around, weren't there?
There were spinners around.
Cheers, Lammy. Thank you very much. Appreciate the time.
Great to see you,
Okay.
Keith. Anyway, brilliant.
Oh, by the way, Keith, just to let you know for your scheduling, the last few World's Best Cricket Clubs have been on Wednesdays.
Yes, they have, but again, I've had some conflicts those time as well. It's unfortunately, but I've been enjoying all the postings that you've done up on
Right.
podcasts. So, cheers, thank you.
Not at all. Thank you, but thank you for supporting it. And next week it's Wednesday, and it's going to be Tom Harrison for those who are interested in a bit of administrative.
Slaughter him. Ask him lots of questions. Ask him about Northampton. Ask him. Here's a question for him. Ask him what Allan Lamb said to him at Northampton
when you were playing with him.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to? Are you going to keep us in suspense? Are you?
Yeah. I'd love to because.
Okay, I'll ask. I'll next week. I'll say, what did Allan Lamb?
Should I tell you now?
Yeah, go on then.
I said stick to your day job and packing cricket. Crap. And he always remembers that whenever I see Tom.
Yeah, I mean he's laughing all the way to the bank, Lammy. Now, isn't he?
Yeah, he is laughing all the way to the bank now. You know.
Hey,
that was unbelievable. Was he any good actually?
No. Not really.
Okay.
We got time for one more question.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, one more question. Yeah. Go on then. Who is it?
It's going to be Mr. Books himself. Is coming in. Mr.
Richard.
Wisdom is in with his full collection on display.
Yay. Richard.
Evening, everyone. Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. I've got the Saints going on. We've just scored. Sorry. Sorry about
goodness.
I thought you had a little fit on camera.
No, we don't score very many, as you all know. So we're happy with that. Sorry about that, gents. Alan, my question was, when you joined Northampton, weight of runs in those first few seasons and the qualification then became for England was building and the expectation was building, how did you handle that expectation? And how would you compare that, the way you handled it, to how Graham Hick handled it a few years later?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect to play, but I knew I felt that I was good enough to succeed because I played some very tough cricket in South Africa. And because they were banned, isolated from Test cricket, every Currie Cup game we played was like a Test match. I mean, we played against some Rice, Proctor, Polly. They had some very good bowlers around, and so I knew that I could play. There was no doubt about that. But I also had to get away to runs and put a lot of pressure on the selectors to pick me because. They weren't. I wasn't very. The press wasn't very keen on me playing, and there was lots of reports that say that as soon as I was getting close to my qualification, some would say he scored away to runs, but he shouldn't still be picked. And then you had that saga with the side that went to with GAT,
the rebel team. Yeah,
said it was unfair that these guys got banned, and well, I always used to say the bloody stupid going to South Africa. Why go to South Africa? Stay here and you won't get banned. Didn't go down very well with a few of the boys that went. So I mean, I was like really surprised. And I think Brian Davison, who you remember, guy played for Leicester. He always said to me, Lammy, we played when I got selected. We were playing Leicester, and he said to me, "Whatever you do not listen to anyone about changing your game. If you can hit the ball for 4 off the first ball in a Test game, hit it for 4 and don't change it." Because what happened when I came there was a lot of talk. You're now playing Test cricket. You've got to change your game. You've got to occupy the crease and all this type of stuff. And I didn't do that. I just played the way I'd normally play, and that's how I succeeded. But when Hickey and Ramps came in, they listened to, and I said to them, don't change the way you play, guys. But it got into their head and they lost their confidence. I said, Ramps scored hundreds and hundreds for Middlesex. And he was another one who changed the way they played. And they should have played as they play county cricket. Of course, there's things you've got to just tighten up a little bit. But that was my experience.
Can I just ask one quick follow-up?
Yeah, go with it, yeah.
You mentioned the the competitiveness of the Curry Cup, and I remember I think you at Robin Smith's book launch down at the GS Bowl, and you talked about that with him and Barry Richards from memory. But what was the difference between the toughness of that competition and say the county championship when you first joined?
Nothing like it. It was nothing like it. I mean, I remember Peter Willey saying to me, I said, listen, we need to score quick runs. Peter Willey turned around to me and said, hey, hold on. The committee, they look at your average at the end of the season if they're going to offer you a contract. So I said, well, what about winning? He said, well, you got your bonus pot. I said, but we got to go quickly, get a big score, and then we can bowl the opposition out. There was nothing like that. So, but I'll just tell you a quick story about Robin Smith. Have we got time?
Yeah.
So Robin's first game, he'd beaten all Barry Richards' records at school, and they said this is the brightest, the greatest player coming through. And his little 17, 18-year-old came to the wicket. And I think Denise Hobson was bowling, leg spinner, very good, would have got lots of test wickets if he had, played test cricket. And I was standing there, and as he walked to guard, I kept chirping him, say, is this the new Barry Richards? And I said, let's see how many runs he gets. And this was all loud. And every time I'd be banter, he'd pull away from the wicket. And eventually I was standing club, bang, short leg. I said, well, piss off now. Don't think about that game. This is a man's game, So that's how they played. This is how I would, we were talking about, earlier about survival. If you didn't survive the guys that chirped you and you came in, there were no prisoners taken. And Matt and Robin never forgets that. He probably mentioned that at the Rose Bowl, But that sort of toughened Robin up quite a bit. And, that's what you experience. I remember, playing against Mike Proctor when I was 18, and I just got into South African schools. And he gave me an absolute torrid time. Plus, he was quite quick.
That is a steep learning curve. Blimey. Do you think, thanks, Richard, that's a really, really good question. Do you think that, just going back to Hick and Ramprakash a minute and how they didn't play their natural game, you scored those hundreds against the West Indies, and we just saw some highlights there. You certainly were happy to have a go. You looked to play your shots. Is that the way you needed to play against that team?
Well, yes, but I also think the problem is fear of failure, right? And you also got to remember when we were playing then, if Rams didn't get runs in 2 games, he was gone. They dropped him, Now, I wasn't scared of failure. Of course, it was in your back, but I made sure, if I didn't get runs in a test match, I'd make sure I get runs in the next one, whatever I did, So you can't have the thing. Once you get it in your head, a fear of failure, you're not going to succeed. And you've got to go to the wicket being positive and try to put all the demons away from you. Now, once you have those demons in and you come to bat, you're going to struggle.
Did you ever have any self-doubts? I mean, you sound like you never looked like you did. Did you ever have, periods where you doubted yourself?
No, I didn't. Sometimes, as I was talking with the grip, and I felt uncomfortable, but I battled away with it. And I never forget, Dennis Brooks probably watched every game. You remember the old one of the greatest players for Northampton. He used to watch every innings, only first-class innings. He never watched one day. But he came up to me. I just was struggling. I hadn't got to run for a game or two and that. And he came up to me in a very shy sort of manner, and he said, Allan, can I have a word? I said, yes, Dennis. He said, you know what? Your head is falling over. Every time I've seen you play when you arrived in 1978, your head was still at the crease. You never moved. Your head was still. And why you've been getting out LBW, just falling over a little bit. I said, thank you, Dennis. Solved. Got 100 in the next game. So, that little piece of knowledge was brilliant, because there was we never had videos of us batting. I never saw a video of me batting in the nets to see what I was doing wrong.
No.
We didn't have any coaches either.
Very interesting. Right, we'll do the quiz. Just a couple of things. Brian Holland says Jack Simmons would have been a deadly bowler with DRS.
Yes, good one.
Wouldn't
Old
he?
Jack.
That's a goodie. That's a goodie.
Flat
And
Jack.
Paul Morley says, given Lammy's excellent record against the West Indian bowlers, what are his recollections of Franklin Stevenson's slower balls when playing against Notts?
Brilliant. I think
Did you struggle against that?
He's got me out. I think he had one of the greatest slower balls.
He did.
Because he could be fairly sharp, old Frankie.
Yeah.
You know,
He had a sort of gangly
slower.
action, didn't he?
Yeah, a brilliant slower ball. I think one of the best.
Did he ever,
even better than yours? Even better than
mine. Did he ever get you out? He got Gat out once where he turned his back. He thought it was a beamer and he sort of turned his back like that and he hit him on the ankle.
No,
but
he got me out. I think, but not by turning my back.
No. Okay. Right. Well, listen. Great. Really good questions there, and some really good answers. Right. It's time now for the moment of truth. Okay. This is the quiz, and it's called, and you'll really hate this. It's called "How Well Do You Know Yourself?" And it starts with a bit of music. Okay. Right, and last week we had an extraordinary result. Paul Collingwood, who you wouldn't think was Mr. Know-It-All, he actually, if I just show you this is the leaderboard from last week. After last week, Paul Collingwood, 10 out of 10.
The one and only so far. And what was interesting about it was how he played it down at the start, wasn't it? Oh, I don't really know much about me. Oh, 10, thanks.
He said, I'll probably only get about 2, and he got 10.
So Jeffrey, wow, there's some big names there.
Yeah, I believe we've had this is just the last couple of months. Before that, we've had Cook, Swan, some girls, some of the women's players, all sorts of people.
Beaumont, Cross, Hartley, the women, yeah. We've had them all.
We've had them all. The Ian Bell. The worst score was Alistair Cook, who got 4 out of 10.
That'll probably be me.
So think about it. So turn one was Leach and Eccleston, wasn't it? One.
Yeah.
And then Andrew Strauss won the second session.
That's right. Strauss, he got 9, didn't he? So anyway, you got 10 questions. 4 is the lowest to beat. If you get the answer right, you get a.
He's got it.
And if you get it wrong, you get one of these. Okay. And you can't phone your wife or anything. Right?
Okay.
So it's 10. It's 10 questions. I'm afraid I'm worried actually. He doesn't like stats, Lammy. Anyway, let's try you. So, Norts, do you want to ask the first question?
Yeah, I'll do the first question, and I will say, Alan, just a confusion because we had this with a couple of guests. I think Marcus Triscoffey, you don't have to write the answers down.
Just say them.
It's a verbal answer rather than a written answer. Marcus just thought it was a written test. And he's got his pen out. Anyway, here we go. So question 1, and this came from Simon. I'm going to say, because it's the first question, I'm going to have a little bit of leeway, if that's all right, Simon. Couple either side. Yeah?
Definitely.
Yeah, because it's only fair. The question 1 is, Alan, how many did you make on your first class debut?
That was that first class debut.
Yeah. So Western Province, not Northants.
32.
You sure about that?
Or 34.
Ooh.
Oh no, I didn't. I got 60 odd.
We'll give you half. How many times are you going to have a go?
Have one more go. Have one more go.
Have one more guess. Go on.
I would say it was probably 59.
Oh, I'll give you. Well, okay.
It was actually 58, but that's within the margin of tolerance.
Bloody hell! I think we need multiple choices.
I can remember that. That was against Eastern Province. Yeah.
Well, that's no good. I mean, you've got to get the number. It doesn't matter about the opposition. Okay. Right. Anyway, we'll give you that. We're being lenient. 1 out of 1. Okay. Question 2. How many Test hundreds did you make against the great West Indies Test team?
Ooh.
So, in other words, against the West Indies.
Exact answer as well.
Yeah, I think we probably need the correct answer here.
Yeah. I don't know, 6 or 7. 7, 6 or 7.
Yeah, all right. We'll give you that. 6. It was actually 6. It was 6.
We're giving Alan that because he said the number 6. Yeah.
he did say
Yeah,
number
okay,
6.
perfect. Gee,
6.
brilliant,
6 is the
boys.
answer. 2 out of 2.
2 out of 2, rocking along. Okay. This is quite straightforward. This is a 50-50, right? 50-50 chance here. Very binary. Who had a higher test batting average, you or Mike Gatting?
Me.
He's got it!
Very good. That was a lucky guess, wasn't it?
The facts are...
Yes, you got me right. You worked me out.
The facts of the matter are Mike Gatting's batting average in Test match cricket was 35.55, whereas Alan Lamb's was 36.05. So it's
Crap batting average.
Anyway. We're on for a Collingwood at this.
Well, you know what it was? You know what it was? Why did you have a low batting average? Because you got to 110 and you gave it away, didn't you? Instead of getting a daddy 100.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's your fault then.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway,
I can't complain.
You got 3 out of 3 and you kept everybody entertained. So that's the main thing. Right. So 3 out of 3. Question 4. You played 22 tests against the West Indies. How many times were you on the winning side against the West Indies?
I know that one. I know that one. Once. Jamaica.
Incorrect. It was 2 because I think you beat them at the Oval, didn't you, as well? Somewhere?
No.
You did? I looked it up. You beat them twice.
I think you guys are going to have a look at this because the only time we beat the West Indies, I got 100 in Jamaica. Look it up, boys.
Yeah,
okay. Right, talk amongst yourselves. I'm gonna look it up.
Okay, next question.
No, we can't have the next question yet.
Oh,
we've got like an umpire's kind of. It's gone to
the third ump. Tell us a story about Beefy or something for a minute.
Yes, fill in the interlude with something about Ian Botham and your night out with Ian Botham and Alan Lamb.
Oh, that'll be
best night out with Beefy. Come on.
Oh, best night out. Oh my goodness. I think probably the best night out is probably the America's Cup where Beefy, Embry, Lamb, and Gower ended up going to the White Horse clubhouse the night before the Western Australia game against England in Perth. And we had a rather big bender in there. And Beefy was arm wrestling one of the guys and fell over and broke this big coffee table and wasn't injured at all, but was struggling to walk. And we managed to get him back to the hotel. And the following day, we had to bat, and Gower got 0, Lamb got 0, and Beefy went into bat, and he was halfway out there, and he didn't have a bat. So the 12th man had to run out and give him the bat and say, I think this might help you, Beefy. So that was quite amusing and a true story too.
Right, well, I'm going to tell you the bad news. The second test match you beat the West Indies in was 1991 at Headingley.
Gucci got 100.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness.
So you were wrong.
Was that when Malcolm Marshall had a broken arm?
No.
They won that.
No, because they won that test. The West Indies.
I think
won
Gucci won that. Okay,
yeah, Gucci won that.
Okay.
He got 150 out of 250. Yeah.
What matters is that you were definitely played. So that was 2.
I'm afraid you got that wrong. So
okay,
that is
right.
3 out of 4.
3 out of 4. Right.
Questioning
5.
the question master is like I might even deduct more points.
So we got it both. We got the Lamb Botham.
Yeah, we got the Lamb Botham story. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Question 5. What is the significance of the number 78.78 in relation to your England batting career? I'll give you that number again. 78.78. Why is that an important statistic in relation to your batting career? And I'll give you a tiny little clue. It's to do with someone you bat with.
Oh, someone I bat with.
Someone you batted with.
That may have been our average with Robin Smith.
He's got it!
Jeez, that was a flyer.
Yeah, that is
You
correct.
gave him too much of a clue there.
Well, we're not.
No, we're not savage. We're not savages.
We're not savage. We're not at the West Indies bowlers how the 80s, are we?
Go on, then tell him the fact there, then, Noughts.
Yes, the power factor of that is 78.78 is the highest batting average of a partnership of any England pair after World War II.
Wow.
This day. That's a fact.
Wow.
We'll give you a round of applause for that.
That was a good guess.
It's a good question, actually. You nicked that off Google, didn't you, Noughts?
No, I actually saw it in I saw it in a story in the Cricketer magazine with Robin Smith, where Robin Smith actually made mention of that sledging incident that you mentioned earlier, except the language he writes in the article is a lot fruitier than what you said, to be honest. Right.
Anyway, so you got that. Very impressive. Average of 78 with Robin, with the judge. Right. Question 6. So you got 5 out of 6. 4 out of 5, sorry.
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. Question 6. Your highest test score for England was 142. Shame on you. Against New Zealand in Wellington. Name the bowler who dismissed you in both innings of that match. 142 in Wellington.
It could have been. Don't say it was Jeremy Coney, was it?
No. Okay, you don't know. So
that's a great name that's a great name for a podcast, I reckon.
It wasn't Jeremy Coney.
Don't say it was Jeremy Coney.
Don't say it was Jeremy Coney. Yeah, very good. Deepak Patel was the answer.
Deepak Patel, my goodness.
You wouldn't have got that, would you?
No.
Right, 4 out of 6.
Okay, question 7. You took your only test wicket in Kolkata in a 1-over spell. So it's a 2-part question. Who did you dismiss for that one wicket, and how many runs came off that solitary over?
Prabhakar and no runs.
Ooh.
Well, we'll have to give you a kind of like a... He's got half a point.
That's half a point because actually it was your analysis was 1 over, no maiden. So there's a clue there. 6 runs, 1 wicket.
Wow. I remember that because Phil Edmonds was reading the paper at mid-wicket when I came into bowl. I pretended I was running in like Bob Willis, Big Bob, and I ran in from the side screen. And as I came in, I fell over and delivered the ball. And as I fell over, I peeled. I was lying on the ground like this, and I peeled. An umpire gave him out. I promise you, the Indians that were watching just went absolutely mad. They were cheering and carrying on. Because I was having a lot of banter in that game with them because, the police, if you they just give you a beating with the stick and that. But anyway, so one of these policemen, I got their helmet, and you remember they used to have those flag poles on the side, and I put a flag pole up there, and I said, "Okay, boys, fire away," and they let rip with the old oranges, and they had to stop the game because it was oranges all over the place. So they loved it because they wouldn't have thrown the oranges at the policeman, if he had the helmet off. But once I put it over the thing, so I had a brilliant sort of a rapport with the Indian crowd. We always taking the picky and taking the.
What a shame! I wonder if there's any footage of that wicket. That would be brilliant, wouldn't it? Mark Wood, you're doing a Mark Wood impression, falling over and getting an LBW. 4.5 out of 7. Anyway, you got half a point there, so 4.5 out of 7.
Your question, Simon.
Is it?
Yeah, it's question 8.
Okay. You were captain of the Northants side that won the 1992 NatWest Trophy, beating Leicestershire by 8 wickets. I think we just seen the picture of that, didn't we?
We did.
On Keith's backdrop. Which beer brand was the sponsor on the Northants jumpers and shirts?
Had to be Carlsberg or Black Label. Black Label.
He's got it! Very good. Carling Black Label. Could almost have mixed the two up there and said it was Carlsberg Black Label. Carling Black Label, very good. 5.5 out of 8. Very good.
Right, this next question is actually, we're going to need to work together this time because it's a picture question, I feel, and I haven't got the picture, so you've got to share it.
Yeah, I need to find it.
So there's going to be a picture. Talk amongst yourselves. It's going to be shown on the screen, and I'm just going to, I can set this up for you, Alan. The question is very simply, when Simon puts it on screen, where is this hopefully it won't be as controversial as Paul Collingwood's last week, as we watched him squeeze. There we go. That's the question. So, Alan, where is this?
That was at Northants when we sort of dressed up as old players. Is that Rob Bailey?
Yeah, no, it's not. Actually, the question is not where is the picture. Although that's quite a nice answer. I mean, we can give you half a point, but it's kind of where is this location? Where's the picture hanging?
You know what? It could be in the Allan Lamb room.
He's got it!
Another guess, guys. Another guess.
That is the Allan Lamb
room. I've got
room.
to tell you, I had to go to a speed awareness course in the Allan Lamb room. Can you believe it?
Did you really? So you were surrounded by this then?
I walked.
That's it there. That's it. Look
oh, is that it? Oh, they've done that up, haven't they? But I haven't been there for years. So
you
anyway,
did a speed awareness course.
Speed awareness course, and the guy called out my name. He said, "Allan Lamb, are you here?" I said, "Yes, I'm in my own room." "Oh my God," he said. He said, "Are you Allan Lamb?" So I said, "Yes, I am." He said, "Well, you were very unlucky to be caught because you were only doing 4 Ks over the speed limit, and they normally give you 5, 8 Ks." So I said, "I can go then." He said, "No, I'm afraid you have to stay." So I got 2.5 hours in that bloody room.
At least you got off the 3 points.
Yeah.
Well done. You got that right. So that is, what is that now? 6.5, is it?
6.5.
6.5. Right. So the last question is another picture question. I'm trying to do a sort of, question of sport job here, aren't I? And this question is another big picture. I'm just going to make it big so you can actually see it. Right. So the question is, what happened here?
The casino. That's when we went with Kerry Packer to have dinner at the casino with David, myself, Kerry Packer's son, Lindsay, Tony Gregg, and we ate in that Jupiter's. I think it was Jupiter's casino, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And we then went to gamble with Kerry Packer. And if the guys had listened to me and said, "Let's go home," because I was 10 or 12 not out, captain of England against Australia overnight. And Kerry Packer said, "You've got to come and have a meal with me." And went down there. And I think he was up $800,000. And the guys decided to stay. And we lost a lot. He was going to share all that money with us. Can you believe it? I blame Greg Gower badly.
So you were captain of England in the Ashes. You went up, you were not out overnight. You went to a casino an hour from the Gabba.
No, we went to Kerry Packer's room in Brisbane with Tony Gregg, and Packer doesn't drink. And he said, "Listen, come and have a quick meal. It's only 40 minutes away." And he said, "Don't worry, we'll get you back early." And Lindsay came with me and we went down there. I'll never forget, there was a 1961 Chateau Margaux or Lafitte, I think it was Lafitte, and a Corton Marshall on the table, right? Kerry Packer doesn't drink. Because they brought me 3 little prawns, Kerry Packer went absolutely ape. He said, "A man can't eat these." And I said, "Kerry, I'll be fine. I don't want any." He said, "That's it." He just got up and said, "We're going." And he gave the wives all the good. Tanya Bryers was going out with Packer's son. Gave everyone $1,000 and said, "Sorry, you go off. We're going into the casino." Had a private table in there. And he said, "Guys, this is how we play." He said, "It's my money, and whatever we win, we share." Gee, I was back straight in. I wasn't going to play. And then what happened, the big thing was, we got bowled out the following day. And the headlines in the paper was Allan Lamb seen coming out of the casino at 6:30 in the morning. So they got that wrong. So Kerry Packer then phoned Jupiter's, but it was too late, and said, "You better make a statement very quickly, otherwise I'm going to close you down."
Wow.
They made the statement, but unfortunately the damage was done. So,
do you have any regrets? Do you have any regrets about that?
No, I mean, listen, it wasn't. I mean, the probably thing, we didn't have a drink. That's why I didn't get any runs the following day. But we did get a quick sneak of that Chateau Lafitte. It was delicious. Gower grabbed the one leg. We sort of nearly drank it out of the carafe it was in.
Well, anyway, we're going to give you the right answer.
It was
So,
Jupiter's. They changed the name, or is it still Jupiter's?
I don't know.
It is. I used to actually live about. Well, I lived in Australia 3 years. I used to live about 10 minutes away from Jupiter's.
Oh, right.
And I have to say, anybody who get from Brisbane to Jupiter's in 40 minutes is driving very. You'd be back at that speed awareness course.
Well, I wasn't driving. We had chauffeurs then. Kerry Packer.
Be Concord. But yeah,
well done anyway. That is comfortably the longest answer to any question in the quiz. In fact, it lasted longer than the quiz itself. But it finished up with you getting 7.5 out of 10. So well done. Very good. With a little bit of assistance.
Yeah, a little bit of help.
But well done. And actually, I think we can close the evening now because you've told us about 8 stories and we're already about half an hour over. So
yeah, it is. I better go and pack, so I better get going.
Yes.
Guys, it's been fantastic. Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure. And
to all your viewers, thank you.
Pleasure having you on, and very good luck with the fishing. Will you? Hopefully, you'll post a picture of something you catch tomorrow. Yeah.
On Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Right.
Okay, guys.
Great.
See you.
Lammy,
Cheers.
thank you very much indeed. Good night.
Bye.